I told him I'm not speaking for a year. Your dad is going to be on the next plane. Because they had thought I was taken over by some strange California religious cult. First I started walking, and my parents wanted to know why I didn't do that when I was 16. And now I stopped talking, and I said, I can't call you up anymore. And they said, yeah, we're going to have to deprogram him right away. My dad did come out. My dad came out, and he just saw where I was living, and he just said, well, okay, good luck, right? And he flew back to Philadelphia, and said that, we just can't do anything. I mean, people seem to like him, and he's not hurting anybody. It's no drugs, no alcohol. I kind of dropped that off a long time ago, and so they let me be out here walking. And that's when I was right here. I was sitting on the post office one day, and I looked at the mountain. You can't not look at Black Mountain. You see Black Mountain. And it was always in my mind, I have to climb Black Mountain. I have to climb Black Mountain. And so this one day was the beginning of what I would call a sacred journey, which would be to just get up, put on my little day pack and some water, and walk into Point Reyes Station and out around Point Reyes Road and up Black Mountain to the top. And from the top of Black Mountain, that's the watercolor that I did. So that's the artifact of the beginning of my journey, of the sacred journey of walking and being in silence. Now, this journey is, I think, a metaphor for all of us. We're all on this journey. And if I were not on this journey, I don't think I would be here today. The journey lasted walking 22 years and in silence 17 years. And so I walked across the United States playing the banjo and stopping and working, and no particular time to get from one place to the other, except one place I did have a particular time. I had to get to the University of Montana in 2 years because I wrote them and asked if I could come to school there for their master's program in environmental studies. Oh, you don't talk, it says. That's okay. But when will you get here? I'm walking, so it should take about 2 years. On the way, I was going to stop in Port Townsend and build a boat, which I did. And I sold the boat and rowed across Puget Sound. I sold that boat to Ingrid Noyes, who lived here at the time. And Ingrid and her husband came up and picked the boat up after I rowed it across Puget Sound. And then I continued walking across Washington State, Idaho, and down into Montana, where I got to the University of Montana in about 2 years. And I like to tell the story about the University of Montana because when I got there, I was sitting there with my banjo on Jeanette Rankin Hall, the stairs, and up walks the director of the program, and he goes, "You must be John Francis." And I think it was the banjo. Dead giveaway, And he says, "Oh, so you're ready to go to school?" And actually, I was not ready to go to school because what? Oh, so you didn't. Oh, you don't have any money. Well, that's all right. Come back tomorrow, we'll take care of it. Well, I was there early in the morning, sun's coming up, and I was there waiting for this. He's going to take care of it. He said, "Here's $150. You go register for 1 credit, reading in conference." I did that. He says, "Okay, now you're matriculating at the school. Here's the key to your office. You can use the library. And what we've worked out with all your professors is that you can take classes before you register for any of those classes. They're going to give you credit for what you take without registering. And then when we figure out how to get the money, they're going to give you the grade that you got in their class. You register for it. It's like, I've never heard of financial aid like that. and I just want to say, if it's something that, if I had stopped and I had went, well, you know, I'm not going to go do that because I don't have enough money or something, you know, there's something that's keeping me from going on this journey, I would have never had this experience of the kindness that was offered me on my journey. And there was so much kindness. There's so many wonderful things that happened. Now, there were some things that, you know, I want to scratch my head because now that I'm in New Jersey, I have to tell you that, you know, I have a wife and 2 boys, and we have a dog now. And I was elected as a commissioner, one of 3 commissioners in the municipal government of West Cape May, which is very similar to West Marin, smaller. And so just before I was leaving, I had to stop and visit with the police department because I'm the commissioner that oversees the fire department and the police department. I walked in and the chief said, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Francis. I stopped and said, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's back up to being out in Point Reyes and being the Planetwalker and walking and not talking and going on. Just call me John. Just call me John. But there's some things that have happened from being a police commissioner to being the silent, walking minstrel on this journey. I mean, I was in college now. I was taking college courses. I didn't talk. I was teaching college students. I was using mime and acting things out and trying to explain to college students about selective forestry. And so I would do all these kinds of things and act these things out, and they would all get together and they go, what's he saying? What's he saying? I don't know what he's saying. Well, I think he's talking about clear cutting. Oh no, he wouldn't do that. He was using a handsaw. Oh, you They would say things that I didn't mean, but I should have. And so I finished that period of my life. I mean, what was the lesson there? It was like, well, if you're a teacher and you're not learning from your students, you're probably not teaching very well. So I like to think of myself as a teacher, student, and we're all here to learn and teach each other because I think that's what's happening. We're all learning from each other. We're all teaching each other. We're all on the same journey. Well, I went as far as Wisconsin, and I usually have my Wisconsin hat on, but today I have this hat on. And I was working on my PhD. My dad would stop at every school that I graduated from. First in Ashland, Oregon, Southern Oregon State. I graduated, he says, look, we're really proud of you, John, graduating, your mom and I, but what are you going to do with a bachelor's degree? You don't ride in cars and talk. I grab my bag, I go on to the next school. I was in Montana, and he says, we don't know how you do this. But what are you going to do with a master's degree in environmental studies if you don't ride in cars and talk? Grab my banjo, put my backpack on, I go on. So now I was in Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin, and I was getting a PhD. My dad was so proud. He says, well, we're really proud of you, son. My sister said I should leave you alone because you seem to be doing so much better when you're not saying anything. But what are you going to do with a PhD if you don't ride in cars and talk? Hunch my shoulders, I grab my backpack, put my banjo on, and I'm playing out into this. I get all the way to the East Coast. I step into the ocean. 7 years and 1 day it takes. 7 years and 1 day. I decided I have something to say, so I'm going to talk. 17 years later, I'm now in Washington, D.C. It's the 20th anniversary of Earth Day, and I'm going to say something. And I'm going to say something on Earth Day because I want to remind myself that it's about the environment. It's something I want to say about the environment. I mean, I started walking because of an oil spill. I want to say, this is really important. After 17 years, what are you going to say? Well, first I'm going to say thank you for being here. Because if you're not here, then no one's going to hear. My mom was there. And she jumped up out of the seat and went, hallelujah, Johnny, stop. So my mom, 17 years, you know. My dad, he says, that's one. That's one because he knows that I haven't started driving cars yet. For me, after 17 years of not talking, I don't recognize my voice. And so I turn around and I look and see who's behind me saying what I'm thinking. Now, this is really altered consciousness here. Like, who was that? And then I realized, that's me. Oh my goodness, that's me talking. And I started laughing. I thought, oh, that's pretty funny. And my dad is looking at him and goes, oh yeah, he really is crazy. Nuts. Well, the reason I started talking, and I have my 5 minutes, see, so I got to hurry up and tell you, because this is the important part, which was about the environment and people. Now, I learned all about, human-made ugliness, pollution, loss of species, habitat, climate change, all those important things. I realized also that people are part of the environment, and we kind of accept, oh yeah, we're part of the environment. But what I never heard was that people are part of the environment. Then how we treat each other is our first opportunity to treat the environment in a sustainable way, or even figure out what we mean by sustainability and the relationships we have with each other. So environment for me had changed from being just about those traditional things that we think of to be about human rights and civil rights and gender equality, economic equity, and all the ways we relate to each other. How we treat each other. It's all about how we treat each other. So if we continue to do how we're doing things and not address this issue, the foundation of who we are and who we need to become if we're going to survive, then we're like putting Band-Aids on all the environmental problems that we have. Because if we oppress each other, if we exploit each other, that's what's going to happen in the environment. And so those are my words after 17 years of not speaking and listening and studying and just being with you all across here to here.